Hey everyone, this is Blackhawk SC, and in this video we'll have a look at the new Hellbringer hero, the Virago. A big thanks to the viewer who donated this mech and made this video possible. Well, the first thing I noticed about this mech is how much detail they put into the pattern, and it looks really impressive. The basic green pattern brings out the gold better than any other color I tried, so this is what I have on it right now. So in case you're wondering, I looked up the definition of Virago just now, and it means a female warrior. And it's a reference to the famed Jade Falcon pilot Joanna, who piloted the Hellbringer. I'm not sure if the Virago loadout is the same as the Hellbringer she piloted, but if you know something about that, leave your comments below. Let's take a look at what the Virago brings to the Hellbringer chassis, and we'll start by looking at its omnipods. The only thing that's really worth noting is the two right arm missile hardpoints, which would allow the Hellbringer to carry up to 5 SRMs or perhaps LRMs. That's not really that useful, however, since the Hellbringer isn't the best missile or brawling platform, and is better suited as a mid to long range poker. The two left torso energy hardpoints would be unique, but the P variant also came out at the same time, so nothing special there either. What is new with the Virago is its full omnipod set quirks, which are pretty generous for the kind of hardpoints the mech comes with. Normally, PGI is really stingy with quirks if a mech can boast something like 5 or 6 of one type of weapon. But at least for now, this chassis has 6 energy hardpoints with 10% quirks on range and heat gen. However, to get the quirks, you have to sacrifice the Hellbringer's most notable feature in MWO, which is its ECM. First, I'll talk about a build that I tried, but didn't like quite that well. I thought about running this because no other Hellbringer configurations will have the heat gen quirks, with the heavy largers and ER meats having matching ranges. However, the problem is that the combination of no ECM and having low mounted arm lasers forces me to expose more of the chassis during the peak than I would like. Also, having it left oriented means that when a team NASCARs to the right, you're having to expose pretty much your entire mech to do a full alpha. There are better laser vomit builds available for the Hellbringer, with higher mounts of ECM, and in that case giving up the heat gen and range quirks are worth it. To mitigate the loss of the ECM, we're going to have to use only the 4 torso-mounted energy hardpoints, so we can get back to cover faster when we're detected. There really is just 2 builds that can meet the restriction and maintain effectiveness. The first is the quad ER large laser, which is more suitable for faction play, but isn't bad for quick play now either. I wouldn't have taken this build out to quick play if it wasn't for the fact that long-range cold maps are often selected for quick play nowadays, and the duration of the ER large lasers were cut down dramatically recently. The Hellbringer Prime with stock omnipods can also do this build with a 10% energy heat gen quirk and ECM, but it doesn't get the ER laser range quirk and must use a low arm-mounted laser. In FP, where you often trade with other ER large laser boats at long ranges, these two disadvantages can have an impact on your gameplay. Here's a skill tree that I use for this mech. Notice that since I don't have ECM, I can save a lot of skill tree nodes for the weapon and durability trees. I'll show a demo of the ER large laser boat, but before that let's briefly talk about the second build, which uses 4 heavy larges. This is probably going to be the better config for quick play generally, but not by a whole lot. While the 72 alpha seems impressive, you end up giving the enemy a lot of face time, and the duration means that damage is going to be pretty spread against anything that isn't standing still. But still, because heavy larges are more suitable for when you don't get Frozen City, Polar, or Grim Plexus, this one should do a little bit better overall. Now let's get into a match with the ER large laser boat. So this happened to be the first match that I played with this build, and luckily I got Grim Plexus, which is a pretty good map for ER large boats. A lot of times what happens is that 2 teams will square off against each other across the 2 hills, and so this is where having 4 ER large lasers really come in handy here. But as this is quick play, it's expected that both teams will try to get closer to each other because most of the time people are carrying like closer range weapons, and so we'll need to get closer at some point. So if you're doing ER large lasers, try your best to keep your beam on the CT or at least somewhere near the CT, the important components, and stabilize your beam as much as possible. Of course, I'm not the most amazing shot out there, but I try my best to keep the beam steady.
I'm quite happy to do that, as long as people follow me.
From this range, you can outtrade pretty much almost every mech that isn't, you know, like quad ERPPC, quad ER larges. There aren't that many of those builds out there. So if you see guys like firing, you know, ER larges at you or whatever, you can, if it's 1v1, you can pretty much guarantee to outtrade them. And you can see our team is getting closer, so we do need to move on with the team and not get caught behind eventually. So I try to be maybe 5-6 seconds away from my team. That's probably the best, as far back as I really want to engage here. Otherwise, you know, if you're further away, then you might get flanked by a light or something like that. So with ER large lasers, with the quirk that we have, you know, past, you know, something like, you can do damage out to 1800, something like that. Past 1600, you're gonna be able to outtrade other ER large laser boats that don't have quirks. Their damage pretty much drops off to 0 past that range, around 1600, and you are going to be able to do some damage there. So we're getting up pretty close here, and so we can still see how the ER larges can support pretty well from this range. Not ideal, but they can still support. And you're really trying to not get the attention of the enemy team right now. I thought about going left, but I don't think that was a good idea. I don't want to trade with that Niger. Probably wouldn't be a good idea here. So I kind of twisted away before my beam was over. Yeah, the right side is going to be the better choice. I think you can see how nice those high-mounted ER lasers were back when we were trading across the 2 hills. A lot of return fire wasn't able to hit me, simply because they're firing from their low arm-mounted weapons or whatever, and they're hitting dirt right in front of me. So.
UAV top side.
Now here's kind of where the ER larges become not so good. When we kind of get into that mid-range to low mid-range. And especially when we're fighting up and down the hill, when there's big elevation changes, then you would depend on your torso pitch to be able to... Okay, I'm gonna run away from this guy. Okay. Not good getting stuck like this. If my torso pitch was better, I could easily kill off these very damaged mechs right now. And that is it. So not bad for the first game. We're not haven't used any RDs or anything. Okay guys, before I go, I just wanted to point out that these aren't the best builds for the Virago if you don't go with the stock Omnipods. As I said, I think this chassis will have a bigger impact on FP than QP, and I recommend the purchase to anyone who runs Hellbringers in FP and who have the funds to buy it. This will do very well on maps like Boreal, Hellebore Springs, and the KP maps like Frozen City that gets used in FP. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and make sure to subscribe for more informative MWO content like this. See you next time and bye for now.